These are my hot takes / unpopular opinions about The Sopranos. Junior ruined the only good relationship in his life because he's an eater. And he doesn't want anybody in his family to find out. And it's the funniest shit in the world because this motherfucker is like 73 years old and you're the boss. Now, they don't respect him, but that's besides the point. You're still the boss. Now, to be fair, what was that lady's name? Bobby? You telling the whole world about it wasn't necessary either, but the reaction for it is insane.
Wonderful. I don't go down enough.
That's not what I heard.
And hypocritical because Tony does it once a year. Like, two things. One, it wasn't that deep. He did not need to be that mad. And also, Tony is a master rage baiter.
Down Mexico way.
Hey, listen, my friend.
Then confronts her about it, breaks up with her. But not only does he break up with her, he pies her in the face and immediately regrets it. I think Christopher would have been a decent captain. He would have been a decent capo and really locked into the movie business, like being like an EP, writing some stuff. I don't know. I think if he got clean, he probably would have had a chance. Whenever everybody talks about the worst or the weakest links in the DeMeo crime family, they always bring up Christopher, Sean, Matthew Bevilacqua, and Jackie Jr. We forget about Paulie Walnuts and his fucking nephew. And there's so many examples of this. Pine Barrens, the Jimmy Sat joke. Even though Ralph said it, how did John find out?
I hope your feelings weren't hurt too bad, and that it never got back.
I stand by this. If Christopher had to go, so did Paulie. He just had seniority, and he was a massive ass kisser. That's it. The smartest thing he ever did was give Christopher real advice, sometimes, and not taking over the April family. That shit is a curse and basically a death sentence waiting to happen. Nobody survives. I know The Sopranos won many awards at the Emmys, Screen Guilds, Golden Globe, but I'm very surprised that Lorraine Bracco and Dominic Chianese never won a single Emmy. And the fact that Michael Imperioli only won just one. James Gandolfini is such a talented journeyman actor. I just wish he wasn't typecasted. After doing The Sopranos, it was like a blessing and a curse because, and honestly, I might make a whole YouTube video about it, just like the downside of method acting, to the point of you're harming yourself for this role and living with this character 24/7. Like, he's putting rocks in his shoes and fucking punching cars and shit, and some of his other struggles that he was dealing with while filming the show, being a lead of a show like this. And I think he could have done so many different roles outside of just mob shit and being Tony Soprano and everything, because man, if he was alive today, I would want to see a movie with him, Vincent D'Onofrio, and Jon Favreau, and they play brothers. But that's besides the point. You ought to check out James Gandolfini in The Wild Things. Him as a voice actor he would have had such a crazy trajectory, I think. Like, voice acting could have been a different avenue for him where he could show so much range. I know they were eating good as fuck on that show, because just look at everybody from season 1 and look at them in season 6. And it's funny that the actor that plays Bobby had a fucking fat suit on, and then he just said, nah, I don't need this shit no more. Even though I thought at some point in the story they were gonna make them a thing, or they were gonna hook up or whatever, I'm really glad they didn't. That shit, it was already bad, her being his therapist, but if he fucked, oh my gosh, that would have made shit worse. And she was the only one that really dubbed him. I'll say this though, season 1, season 2, whatever season it was, where they was at the same place, that restaurant, oh, she was weird, without a doubt. Yeah, sorry about that, I just hit my fan, my bad. I did not mean to do that shit. For all the cheating that Tony has done to Carmela over the years, I'm really surprised she never found out or got even an idea. Gloria Trillo, Valentina, and the chick that Christopher was dealing with in AA. Not really. I'm not really surprised about the one that he met in AA that was also dealing with Christopher, and the one that was dealing with Ralph, because that was a thing for a while. At least like 2 years. But I'm also surprised he never found out about AJ's principal, that hot moment they was dealing with each other, or Davey Scortino's. Well, I take that back, because like that shit was like 2 seconds. The moment he found out, yeah, this is Tony Soprano's wife, yeah, he got the fuck up out of there. The DeMeo crime family is a glorified crew. We can all agree about that.
Sopranos are nothing more than a glorified crew. Plain and simple.
However, so are the Lupertazis. Those motherfuckers are so dysfunctional. After Carmine goes, after he passes away, it's a complete shit show. His son is an incompetent fuck. Everybody's coming out of jail too. You got Angelo Greppi, Phil Lupertazzi, you got Doc, you got Feach LaMotta, and Tony B. And you can't forget Johnny Sack. Phil is a fucking menace. First off, they beef because his first love, who's also his cousin, he's tender about this one. Tender about your fucking cousin that you was cracking is crazy. But Joey Peep, Phil's little brother Billy, take out Lorena, her boyfriend. Carmine is upset about this. Not only is little Carmine upset about this, Angelo and Frankie Valli, Rusty, I'm sorry. By the way, they asked Tony B to do the hit, and at first he says no, but after he tries to go straight, he just says fuck it. Mind you, he got so fucking lucky when he came home from jail. Tony gets you set up with Kim. You're about to be a fucking physical therapist or masseuse, whatever. And then on top of that, you find money in the middle of the street. But no. And now, Tony B, fresh out of jail, doing botched hits and shit. This three-headed boss thing isn't working at all. I don't remember too much about Dog. I'm not gonna lie. I just remember he got popped. That's pretty much it. Johnny Sack is finally boss. He's finally boss. His ass ends up going to jail, getting sick, and then dying. And then at last, Phil is the boss. Carmine died in 2004. After his death, they went through 3 bosses, and all of them ended up dying. Carmela knew that Adriana was dead. When you start having wild-ass dreams like Tony, yeah, you know. You get the sign. Even though I made a video about this, Junior was better off being a consigliere to Tony and Jackie Aprile than being the boss of the family. Because in some of the earlier seasons, he was actually giving Tony great advice. And it would have worked out up until his dementia got really bad. Then obviously, Silvio's a great choice. After Tony dies, there was really not that many options for a boss. So the DeMeo family was just going to be merged in with one of the 5 families. Most likely the Lupertazzis. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Butch decided to wipe out every single member. Christopher was never going to get better. The moment that he got clean, him being clean and also in the Mafia is like a setup, recipe for disaster. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. He's clean, he's gonna get called a bitch, and that he's whiny, he's too emotional, he needs to have a drink. But if he does drink, he's gonna get clipped. What happened to Adriana was very sad, but her awareness was so terrible, so terrible. Like, did they not forget that she's related to the Apriles? But not only that, she needed friends her own age. Her hanging around these fucking mob wives who are like 10 years older than her just didn't help at all. That's why she probably felt comfortable talking to Danielle. She just needed a friend her age that Christopher ain't trying to fuck. Now, they should have never made The Many Saints of Newark, but I also feel like that movie had so much potential. I think the cast works, but I would have to do a swap with the actor that played Dickie Moltisanti and John Bernthal playing Tony's father. And I hope I'm saying his name right, but I wish John Magaro didn't play Silvio like this was a fucking SNL skit. But the scenes where he had the wig and then he didn't help at all. And I feel like what would have helped it too, you have to show the characters from the show. You have to show a decent amount. There's a lot of characters, a lot of shit's been retconned, so that's already difficult in itself. But instead, they chose to introduce a bunch of new characters, half of which we might see a younger version of a character for 2 seconds, or they just said, fuck it, we're gonna make him a Nepo baby. Now, Christopher is a 3rd generation mobster. Silvio is a 2nd generation, and so is Pussy. Okay, I guess. Mind you, David Chase wanted to make a film about the Newark riots. He should have stuck with that. Don't even try to incorporate the Sopranos into it. Doesn't work out. Also, the trailer's misleading as fuck. It comes across as a Tony Soprano story, but then you watch the movie. It's not. In fact, the scenes that they used for the trailer were either scenes that were cut out of the fucking movie in general, or the only scenes of Tony we see. Barely in the fucking movie. Keep that in mind. Scattered moments at best. Almost forgot to mention this. David Chase, health wasn't doing well. Same with his wife. I think he suffered a heart attack if I'm not mistaken, but you get the point. There was a million different reasons as to why this movie should have never been made. At most, I feel like it should have been a mini-series, and that's it. or just not done in general. Just leave the shit alone. Everybody was so hypocritical on this show. Like, they made it seem like Christopher was the only one putting hands and feet on women, and then you got Tony chokeslamming shit. You got Paulie putting old ladies on t-shirts. And they made it seem like he was the only one benefiting from nepotism when Tony's father and uncle, Tony was a made guy in his 20s, and then after being a capo for most likely a short time, ends up being boss. Almost forgot to mention these two in regards to the mini Saints of Newark. Apparently, Junior was supposed to be a PDF file. Don't know why they chose. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about that. Very unnecessary. And having Edie Falco in this movie, to do what? I don't know. Was she gonna narrate like in Michael Imperioli? Like, what's the point? But that concludes the video. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. And if you hear a smoke detector, relax on me. I promise you, the batteries are in. They're fine. I promise you.